from Sigofa, I am happy that we are taking the conversation far from just mentioning that youth have rights.
A big task on just leading some CSOs, maybe communities.
Work together to ensure that youth in the country have access to land, and they are also participating in decision-making processes.
A special message.
It takes us to have concerted efforts, all of us.
For myself, I can say LANDESA is doing a great job, particularly in Tanzania. I've seen different activities, LANDESA advocating young people and also the women on the rights of land, accessing and occupying the land, and also to help some young people and also women to get land. So from Sigofa 4 here in Arusha, I'm glad to have Khadija Mrisho from LANDESA. Is working from LANDESA Tanzania. What does LANDESA expect from the young people response on land rights?
Thank you so much. Like you introduced me, I am Khadija Mrisho. I work as a land tenure specialist, and I work on youth and women land rights issues. We at LANDESA, we have done, we are doing a number of interventions, including land tenure assessment to assess the context-based issues about youth land rights, to understand what are the challenges, what is the policy environment in terms of protection when it comes to youth land right, and so and even supporting the government on undertaking policy reforms to ensure that we have policy and legal frameworks that recognize, protect, and even guarantee youth land rights. And so from Sigofa, I am happy that we are taking the conversation far from just mentioning that youth have rights, but we also I'm seeing some practical recommendations on how youth land rights can be advanced in the continent to make sure that youth are utilizing the potential that they have by conducting activities like agriculture and contribute to the growth of the continent's economy. And so I'm expecting to see some practical recommendations like how do we work closely with the government to ensure that the continent's policy and legal framework consistent provisions, specific provisions that provide, guarantee, and protect youth land rights, just like we have the provisions that protect women's land rights. I really wish when we were doing the assessment on youth land rights in Tanzania, we found out that there are no mention of youth issues, youth challenges when it comes to land, and that also made the policies themselves to be silent on how youth can access land in the country. What are their rights? What are their responsibilities? How can they claim the land rights when it comes to so you look at the policy environment, there is no protection at all. So I'm looking forward to see how we can work to support policy reforms in our countries to ensure that youth are protected in the policy and legal reforms.
One issue has been raised in the conference is the power of language, and its local language. It can be Swahili or whatever.
LANDESA being a global or an international organization, and I know we work in different countries. but each country has its own context. So we don't use foreign language from in the countries where we work. We make sure that we use the context-based languages, and in our case here in Tanzania, we use Swahili. Yeah. So we have developed a lot of communication materials that are in Swahili language. The issue of language is very important, because if you want to really communicate with the local community, especially at the grassroots level, you need to take cognizance of that. You cannot use a foreign language to a community where those people do not understand that language. So you need to blend in to make sure that the language you're using is user friendly. They do understand, but again, make sure that it is not that technical. Make sure that you're using a language that words that are well and easily understood by the community members. And that is why you find in our communication materials, the language that is being used is easy for users to digest and understand that this is what it meant, and not in the legal language that the laws and policies provide.
What is your take here on partnership with YILA, GIS, ILC, LANDESA? Because this is a huge, we can say, movement, and these key leading partners, you have, they have a big task on just leading some CSOs, maybe communities and young people. You can speak something on it.
Yeah, I would say it takes collective advocacy to achieve a meaningful impact, especially at the grassroots level. So, us partnering with these giant international organizations like ILC, GIZ, and at the local, having the local partners, and that at the grassroots level, having the local community as well as the traditional leaders. Yeah. It takes the whole of us to do the work and make sure that we have a meaningful impact. And this is very important because we are working in different localities. So there are different lessons and learnings that we bring when we are working in partnership. So it's good that when we partner, we also, in terms of resources, share, the cost. Yes, it's not, sometimes it's, sometimes it's not easy for you to have the resources to do it all. So if you have partners who can contribute to that initiative, then that is good. So I do recommend, and actually that is one of the approach that LANDESA uses in working.
Yeah, in Tanzania.
Yeah, in Tanzania, we work in partnership with some other organizations and coalitions.
If you have maybe a special message
for us to be able to accelerate youth land rights, it takes us to have concerted efforts, all of us. I mean the government, development partners, civil society organizations, and youth themselves. We need to all have a common agenda that we are pushing forward to ensure that youth have access to land. Failure to do that will be working in silos, without coordination, not knowing who is where. The resources are scarce, so we will end up not being able to see what we want to see. Like building the future for the youth, will not see that if you are not working towards a common goal. But again, I also think for youth to be in a good position to contribute to the continent's development, they need resources to do that. And one of the key resources, and that is foundational, it is land. Because land, and secondly, they need finance to be able to invest in that land. And again, we are seeing global crisis or challenges like climate change. How do we bring on board youth? Because if they are landless, that means they are already victims of victims of climate change. So they need land to be able to be part or to bring their agents into the process of addressing climate change. Yeah.
Crucial issues now, you speak of the climate change. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Much appreciated.